Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and my review of Split. This is a film that I didn't review when it first came out. I kind of missed that train for whatever reason. But yeah, reviewing it now. But not just me, Cody Leach as well is also reviewing this film. We've both reviewed Unbreakable. He's reviewing it over on his channel. I'm reviewing it here with the lead up to Glass. So yeah, once you've checked out this video, please do go over to Cody's channel and watch his review of Split. So it's written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. It is, of course, a sequel to Unbreakable. We didn't really know that. I'll get to find it out until the very last moment. But when we did, I gotta say, I was super stoked by that fact. So for those who don't know, it follows this character of Casey Cook, who is abducted along with two friends by this guy who is played by James McAvoy, Kevin Crumb, who has not just one split personality, but 23, with a 24th on the way. And the film is really about these girls trying to survive as they're being held captive by this guy, girl, thing, whatever, and we get to see this 24th personality emerge. What does that mean? Well, it means a supervillain actually for the next film Glass, for Bruce Willis's superhero character that was created in Unbreakable. So yeah, Shyamalan building up a comic book cinematic universe of his own that, yeah, didn't start first in a comic book, but in the movies. It's really great stuff. When I saw this film the first time around, I did really like it. I really liked it. I probably would have said it was a 4-star film. Seeing it this time around, for the second time, I really loved it. I think it's up there with Unbreakable. I think it's probably going to take a few more watches for me to really pull out all the themes in the way that I did with Unbreakable. But it's still a very good film. And it's really all about how it's our weaknesses that make us stronger. It's the moments when we are most broken that lead to the moments when we are on top and most powerful and perfect, I guess. We are made strong in our weakness. So this main character of Casey Cook, played brilliantly, I must say, by Anya Taylor-Joy, really incredible actress. From a few films that I've seen her in, I didn't care for The Witch that much, but she was incredible in that. Brilliant performance. Likewise here. You know, she plays this character who appears very weird. She's an outcast. She doesn't do herself any favours to make friends. People really look at her like a bit of a freak. And that's because she has this very troubled past. You know, she suffered abuse at the hands of her uncle, and that in anybody else's mind might make her weak. You know, it might damage her, I guess. You know, when you think about the themes in Unbreakable, that whole, the title kind of says it all. You know, there's Bruce Willis character who is literally unbreakable, and then you've got this character here, this Casey Cook character, who is actually quite a broken person. When you look at her history as though it was a rap sheet, you think she was a broken person. And the same with Kevin. You know, he's literally broken. His personality has shattered and splintered into 24 different personalities. He's absolutely broken. But those weaknesses become strengths. So as we see these girls kind of figuring out their way and how to try and get out of this complex which they're being held in, it's Casey who comes up with the ideas. It's Casey who, you know, whispers things that help the other girls, because she's been there before. She's been in a situation where someone much more powerful than her physically has taken control and has kind of taken hold of her life. And it's through that experience where she was damaged, where she was broken, that she can now learn from it and be stronger and be more powerful and more determined and see ways out that perhaps other people wouldn't see. So we see that literally in one moment when one of the girls gets dragged out, and it looks like one of these personalities is going to rape her. And Katie offers a piece of advice. She whispers this piece of advice, which this girl kind of takes. It's not the most pleasant of things to do, but it stops her from being raped. It, you know, it puts this guy off. So yeah, it's things like that that, you know, again, strength is found in weakness. So this is essentially playing as an origin story for the supervillain. Which obviously is Kevin Wendell, or the Beast as he becomes towards the end of the film, to the flip side of that, which is David Dunn's superhero. You know, in Unbreakable we got that origin story of the superhero. Here it's the villain. I do like that juxtaposition of, you know, in effect the superhero being unbreakable and the supervillain being broken. It's a perfect place to go. It makes complete sense. You know, when you look at what Shyamalan set up in that first film, you look at it here, it stands to reason. It makes perfect sense that this would be the character. You know, he talked about the rules of comic book superheroes and villains in that film. He talked about the villain in some way being the flip side of the same coin. So yeah, it makes sense. We get this character of Dr. Karen Fletcher as well. She's the psychiatrist that is helping Kevin Wendell to deal with his split personalities. She's a really likeable character. And I like that what Shyamalan does with this character. He takes something that actually is scientifically proven and he just takes it to the next level. So it has been proven scientifically that people with split personalities can actually change their body chemistry depending on what personality is taking over at the time. So Shyamalan asks that next question. Well, what if one of those personalities believed they had superpowers? You know, could they push their body beyond those limits? So it seemed like an obvious question to ask after seeing the film, but yeah, don't think it has been before. I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong, if there's been a character similar to this elsewhere in comic books, but it was a first for me, and it was just, yeah, what a unique idea. Something that is kind of scientifically grounded, but obviously very fantastical at the same time. But this character of Karen is our way into that kind of scientific perspective. But she's not just someone who is there for exposition. You know, she's a very unique character in her own right, and someone that I greatly sympathise with and root for in the film. So when we get to a particular scene later on in the film, I'm disappointed by that in the right way, you know, the way that you should be by seeing that scene play out. Shyamalan went with a different cinematographer for this film than he did with Unbreakable. He actually got the cinematographer from It Follows. The guy had only done It Follows, it seems, before this. So yeah, he does a great job here, as he did with It Follows. I do think that the camera work, it's a little bit different in style from that of Unbreakable. I think that may be a budgetary thing. This is still a pretty low budget film by some of the standards of some of the work that Shyamalan's done. You know, if you look at Last Airbender and After Earth, they were huge budget Hollywood films, and I think they suffered for that. I think Shyamalan's storytelling suffered as a result of that, and here he gets back to his roots by doing more low budget kind of indie style horror movies, horror thriller. But as I say, with Unbreakable, I don't know if it was a lower budget. I would imagine it was, but he certainly had a lot more locations to play with. I think in Split, because we're confined quite a lot of the time to a few locations, that isn't going to eat away at your budget. Whereas with Unbreakable, I noticed in the style of filmmaking it was very efficient, and I commented on this in my review for Unbreakable. Just that idea, the way that Shyamalan shot it, he would play out whole scenes in one shot. So, you know, he wouldn't cut away or anything like that. He would literally just be on the same shot, the whole action would play out. He might move the camera, pan it left or right or whatever, but it allowed that whole scene to be got in one. Very efficient way to tell a story cinematically. It doesn't do that here quite as often. I think there's an element of that here. It's still at a leisurely pace, I think, the way it's shot. We're not into kind of Michael Bay Transformers 20 cuts when forward do territory, but I can tell they've done a lot more setups with each scene, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So that the style doesn't quite match Unbreakable, but the pace still kind of feels the same. So it does still tie into that movie very well with regards to its style. The big thing for this film, obviously, is James McAvoy. This is a role, a characters that, if they were not handled right, if you didn't have the right actor in these roles, this film would fall on its ass big time. And yeah, McAvoy just nails it. There are scenes in this film where he might be playing 4, maybe even 5 characters at once, and in one particular instance I remember, they're even interacting with each other. So to nail them and not have them bleed into each other, you know, to have them very distinct, so that you as the viewer knows exactly who's talking at any given moment within him. That is an amazing feat, and how he wasn't nominated for an Oscar for this is beyond me. It just simply boils down to that age-old thing that fantasy movies, thrillers, horrors don't tend to get a look in come Oscar time, but it's an incredible performance. There are times in the film where it does get dangerously close to becoming, I don't know, I guess tipping over the edge to untasteful, like the scene in the forest with Casey and her uncle when she's a little girl. It's very cringy. It kind of, you know, as a father, just gets me angry, gets my blood boiling, which is what it should do. But you're kind of wondering where, you know, how far is Shyamalan going to go with this scene? You know, when the camera pans around the corner and we see that guy in nothing but his underwear, it's just, yeah, it's a bit. Thankfully, he doesn't go too over the edge, like I say. But there's just moments like that that make you feel uncomfortable, as they should, and I imagine as they're designed to do. But again, it's that whole thing that so many elements of this film that could have, if you just tipped it a little bit too far one way, the whole film could have collapsed. And thankfully, Shyamalan has a complete handle of the material. Yeah, I really love his direction here. I think he's back on form, it must be said. This film makes me so excited now for Glass. I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5, which is what I gave Unbreakable. I just think it's really incredible. And you know, I've never been as down on Shyamalan as most people. For me, he's only made 2 bad films, and that is After Earth and particularly The Last Airbender. I've liked everything else he's done to varying degrees. But I definitely think he got back on form with The Visit, and he sealed the deal with this. So I'm super excited for Glass. Can't wait for it. But what about you? Are you excited for Glass? Have you seen Split and Unbreakable? If not, I highly recommend you go and check them out, obviously, given the ratings I gave them. But if you have seen them, what do you think? You know, what's your favourite so far between Unbreakable and Split? And what are your hopes for Glass going into that film? Comment below, let me know your thoughts, and until next time, crack in.